top 5 out of nowhere Super Bowl MVPs. These are the guys, like I went through the whole list and I eliminated quarterbacks because you often assume that the quarterback, so like even though Doug Williams was kind of out of nowhere, like as far as the MVP of that game, he had a great season, but I don't think anybody thought going into the game they were going to win because of Doug Williams, particularly. Like
you didn't what?
They didn't think he was going to win because Doug was going to have this unbelievable game.
Oh, not
it was
the game he had.
No, it was going to be somebody else that was
Schrader.
Yeah, Schrader, exactly. Yeah. So he was out of nowhere, but he still was the quarterback in the game, so you kind of put him out there. So, but these are at number 5. You will know this is old school, Smokey, old school. But he was.
I know who it is.
It's Jake Scott.
Yep. Safety for the Dolphins.
2 fumble recoveries, 47 punt return yards, 28 kick return yards.
14-7 win against Washington.
Yeah, a huge thing. And he wound up playing for Washington after that. But Jake Scott, people may not, I would say in the annals of Super Bowl MVP history, he is probably the most forgotten one.
Yeah, there may be one or two others, but I do know that he was a hell of a player.
Yeah.
But that was a team with Zonka and Kick and all those guys. And,
that's who you would have thought would have been.
And
Greasy.
Bonacani.
Yeah.
Mercury Morris, who was not a starter, but kind of a glitz and glamour at running back. Yeah,
absolutely. Number 4, Malcolm Smith.
Yeah, that's still one that I bet most people, if you said name the 5 most random MVPs, it would still be one that I think people would struggle with.
Yeah, Malcolm Smith, horse, had the interception on Pete Carroll's worst play call in the history of his career.
I saw a documentary on that play. Mm-hmm. Like, there's not a 30-minute deal, but on that play that Belichick, I don't know what it was, he saw something on a practice video, like practice film. I'm not sure if he's supposed to have it, but that he saw what New England, or he saw what Seattle had been running on the goal line, and there's kind of a semi-pick play that was being run, and they practiced getting Malcolm inside. It's a great. It's like that's why Belichick won. It was it was not illegal practice, but Belichick and the team ran that play over and over and over again in case they needed it, and they did, and he picked it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 3, known much more for his college exploits and his TV career, Desmond Howard.
Absolutely, yeah.
Kick returner.
Yeah, I was at that game against the Packers, against New England.
Yeah.
I think it might have been down in New Orleans. I'm not sure if it was New Orleans or Atlanta, one of the two. But, yeah, had a big moment. Drafted by Washington, another Washington, not failure because he turned out to be good enough to win it. But one that I thought he in that, was that North Turner? Who was it that was the coach? It was Gibbs? I don't think it was Gibbs. It would have been. But when he was drafted by Washington, you're like, oh, he's going to have all these toys, and it didn't work out.
No, it didn't. So that's very interesting that's how that went down. So, but he did make it there because again, they were good when they drafted Desmond Howard.
No, I think I thought it was going to be a good match based on what they were doing at the time.
But he wound up kind of just being a kick returner, kind of a Mel Gray type, and then became the MVP. He was like the 5th wide receiver on that.
It wasn't like he had a great NFL career.
No,
but he had that one night in the Super Bowl.
He was a good NFL player, and he was a serviceable. He was a great kick returner. Number 2, Dexter Jackson.
Yep, Tampa Bay.
That was
a West Coast game against the Raiders and Gannon.
Yeah.
Rich Gannon, yep.
And he had those interceptions. Of course, that was all like Barrett Robbins was down in Tijuana the night before and didn't play. All the weird stuff that went on with that game. A lot of people think that's something like that's going to happen here. It's a little bit of a different time in the NFL, but and plus they're staying way out of town.
Desmond Howard was drafted the year after just after Washington won Super Bowl 26.
Yeah, so they were good.
And it was Gibbs.
Really good.
It would have been Gibbs, I think. Yeah,
they were still really good.
Didn't work out.
And number 1, a guy we were just talking about, Larry Brown, who was by and large the most. We talk about Pup not getting the credit he deserves, but Larry Brown was the most unsung member of the secondary, especially that year when you have Woodson and Marion and Dion and Kevin Smith and those guys that were on that team.
Thomas Everett may have been gone by then.
He was gone by then.
Yeah, he was gone by then.
He was gone by then.
And he was a hell of a player,
but he was gone by then. But so Larry Brown was I mean, he was just kind of the last guy you think of. And most of the time when I remember, of course, being a Cowboys fan, whenever a kind of a big play was made, it was usually made over towards Larry Brown because Deion and Pup were.
Well, they were throwing the opposite direction,
Yes.
so he had opportunities. And,
Yeah.
of course, Neil O'Donnell with a couple of, gift-wrapped interceptions. But
Yeah.
you still have to be where you're supposed to be, and he was.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Deion caught a long pass in that game down the middle. I was in the seats that I had at Sun Devil Stadium.
yeah.
Yeah, Larry Brown.
Larry Brown, the most random one, and the one,
You know what, is that it?
That's it.
Okay, would be a good of the 5 who were unknown that were blocked out of becoming an MVP because of other, like, for example, Timmy Smith, the running back, the year
Yeah.
that Doug Williams went off, right?
Yeah.
And he had almost 200 yards rushing went to
Yeah.
Texas Tech. And he didn't do much after that. He was gone. He was done. Or or ones that just flamed out. Those are 5. Those are 5 hard ones to get to.
You know who's one that probably should have been the MVP?